the spine-chilling realm of scary stories to tell in the dark, where fear and terror lurk around every bend. Tonight, we embark on a journey through 4 gruesome tales of horror that will make your blood run cold. Prepare yourselves for heart-stopping terror as we explore this scary storybook and enter a nightmarish world of horror drive stories. One dark night, after finishing work at midnight, I drove home using my usual path. The town was silent and empty, surrounded by thick forests and few houses. I drove down a road with a cornfield on one side and dense woods on the other. It was a warm summer night, so I had the top of my convertible down. As I drove at a brisk speed, I suddenly heard a chilling scream from a woman. It was hard to tell which side of the road it came from. I stopped my car quickly and listened. The woman's cry for help came from the woods on the left. I got out of my car, grabbed the baton from the back seat, and headed towards the woods. I called out to her and she replied, begging for help. I ran deeper into the woods, pushing branches and bushes out of my way. I asked the woman to keep screaming so I could find her. Every few seconds she'd call for help and I'd run towards the sound. However, I soon realized that her screams didn't get any closer or louder. It felt like they were always the same distance away, even though I was running straight towards them. I shouted, asking where she was, but she only screamed for help again. Feeling uneasy, I thought it might be a trap, so I turned back and ran towards my car. As I hurried back, her screams continued at the same distance, as if she was following me. Was I being hunted? I reached my car, jumped in, and drove away, terrified. I called the police to report the incident, but I didn't want to stay there any longer. I was exhausted. After sharing the eerie experience with friends and family, I tried to move on. But a week later, I saw a news report that made my heart drop. A hiker found the lifeless body of a woman in her 30s in the same woods where I heard the screams. Strangely, there were no signs of violence. Although the woods were vast, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a coincidence. Wait to hear the next one. Once I was driving from Brooklyn to Vermont for a fun snowboarding weekend at my friend John's cabin. I had 2 cars, a 2013 BMW and a 2006 Ford F-150. That night, I drove the Ford with my snowboard stuff in the back. I was about 45 minutes away from John's place and it was late, around 10 p.m. The road was dark and snowy and there were no other cars. Just a few weeks ago, I got my truck back from the mechanic. It had lots of problems and that night was no different. On a dark, quiet road, my engine got really hot. I stopped on the side to let it cool down. Then I tried driving slowly, but the engine got hot again. I couldn't fix it in the dark and snow, so I decided to call John. My phone didn't have any signal, so I couldn't call for help. I felt stuck. I went back inside the truck to stay warm. I tried driving one more time, but the engine got hot again. After waiting a while, a car finally passed by. I waved my arms and the car stopped. It was a small Toyota. I thanked the driver and asked to use his phone. He wanted to know what happened and if I was alone. I told him my truck was too hot to drive and I was by myself. He gave me his phone and I called John. John told me to call a tow truck and that he'd come get me. I called the tow truck and waited. The man in the car watched me the whole time. It was a bit scary. After I finished calling, I gave him his phone back and thanked him. He said, "You're welcome," rolled up his window and drove away into the dark, snowy night. I watched his car lights disappear down the hill. Now I was alone again. I went back into my warm truck and turned off the headlights. It was so dark outside I couldn't see anything. It was total blackness. I sat in the truck waiting and waiting. I couldn't use the internet, so I played games on my phone for 20 minutes. Suddenly, there was a loud bang on my passenger side window. I jumped, scared, and looked at the window. It was too dark to see the person outside, and the headlights didn't help. A man's voice begged for help, saying he was cold and needed to get in. He tried to open the locked door. I shone my flashlight, but only saw a big black coat and hood. I asked what was wrong, and he said he was lost and needed to escape the cold. I didn't trust him and felt nervous. He tried to open the door harder and banged on the glass, screaming for help. I listened to my gut and drove the truck away. He banged harder, trying to break the window. I drove faster, even though I knew it was bad for the engine. Then I saw a familiar car, the same Toyota from earlier. I slowed down and lowered the window to look for the man, but the car seemed empty. My taillights showed footprints in the snow. The man who banged at my window was trying to trick me. I kept driving, not caring about the engine. Soon, I saw the tow truck coming and felt happy. I told the driver what happened, and he asked if the man had a gun. I didn't know. He said we should hurry. We attached the truck, and the Toyota never passed us. I called John with the tow truck driver's phone and told him to meet us at the body shop. In the end, John and I went snowboarding, and the body shop fixed my truck. I sold the truck later. I'm glad I didn't open the doors for that man. He could have hurt me, and no one would have known who did it. The next one would scare everyone. I got my very first girlfriend when I was 17. I stayed with my mom back then because my parents separated when I was 11. One day, I invited my girlfriend for a date, and she agreed. We both had jobs. I worked at a nearby grocery store, and she worked at Starbucks. We had day shifts and were seniors in high school. I chose that day for our date because it was a Friday, and we had little homework. I picked her up and took her to a small restaurant near my home, since that's what I could afford. After eating, we went back to her place, but it was already dark. She said our date was too short, and I admitted I couldn't take her anywhere else that cost money. We agreed to go for a nighttime drive. We cruised around town and ended up on a deserted road in the woods. Suddenly, the pavement stopped and we were on a dirt road. I needed to pee badly, and so did my girlfriend. We pulled over, got out of the car, and noticed a terrible smell. I thought it was from someone else who had stopped to pee. My girlfriend almost threw up from the stench. I said we'd pee quickly and returned to the car to head back to town. We found a flat spot to do our business and then hurried back to the car. On our way, we heard a twig snap to our left. Fearing it was an animal, we rushed the car. Before opening the door, I heard a terrifying scream from where we had just peed. I told my girlfriend to get in the car while I checked it out. She begged me not to go, but I wanted her to feel safe. I locked the doors and went back to where we heard the scream. It happened again, but closer. Suddenly, I lost all courage. Instead of moving closer, I turned on my phone's flashlight and took a photo. The flash revealed a man in a white shirt with black stripes and a blue tarp in front of him, just standing there. I sprinted back to the car, unlocked the doors, got in, and drove off as fast as I could. My girlfriend could see I was scared and kept asking, "What happened?" I told her I'd explain later. We returned to the darker part of town and then drove to her house. We went to her room and I told her about the creepy man with the blue tarp. I showed her the photo and she was as scared as me. She let me stay the night because we were both spooked and we had no work or school the next day. That was the scariest moment of my life. We're not together anymore. I'm 23 and she's 22, but we're still best friends. Before the last one, remember to subscribe to enjoy more scary stories and videos. One summer night in 2011, when I was almost 19, my younger best friend and I were looking for fun in our quiet corner of southwestern Virginia, near Mount Airy, North Carolina. Since everything closed by 10 p.m., we had to make our own adventures. We started by going to the mall, then drove around searching for friends, but had no luck. So we went bowling until it closed. Feeling restless, we strolled down the dark alleys of Main Street, pretending to be brave. Though it was late, we weren't scared because the area was usually safe. Eventually, we got bored and headed to Waffle House for some food, followed by a quick stop at Walmart. Still not ready to go home, we decided to drive along the quiet country roads. We chose a route I'd only been on once before during the day. It started out paved, but soon turned to dirt as it crossed into Virginia. It was a bumpy road that was often washed out by rain, so we had to drive slowly and carefully. The road was surrounded by thick woods, making it difficult to spot the few houses hidden among the trees. As we drove, we noticed a light in the distance. As we got closer, we saw a man standing under his porch light, watching us. He was completely still except for his head, which followed our car. This made us both very uneasy. We tried to brush it off, thinking he was just out for a cigarette, but something about him felt off. We sped up, feeling more and more nervous as we talked about the man. Soon we reached the end of the dirt road and found ourselves back on familiar pavement. But the spooky encounter stayed with us, leaving us feeling like our night was just beginning. We turned right, feeling much better as we sped up to leave the spooky man behind us. We admired the views from this road that went along a small mountain ridge, showing the town below. After a while, we reached the end of the road and turned right again to head back home. This road was more filled with trees than the previous one, but I knew it well, having been on it countless times. As we drove toward the main road, we saw something ahead in the dim light of my headlights. Deer are a big problem here, so we thought that's what it was and slowed down. But as we got closer, we saw it wasn't a deer. It was much bigger and white. We thought maybe it was an albino deer, but then we realized it was a person, hunched over, walking in the left lane. My friend asked, "What are they doing walking at this time of night?" As we got closer, we saw it was an old woman with messy gray hair, wearing a white t-shirt and white pants. She had her back to us until we were about 50 feet away. Then she turned and we saw her face. She looked like she might be on drugs, with dark circles under her eyes and greasy hair. She seemed to be between mid-40s to late 50s, but that wasn't the scariest part. She raised her hand and started running toward us, waving frantically. We saw what looked like dried blood on her clothes and a big knife in one hand. Our urge to be brave vanished and we sped off, not stopping until we reached the highway. Our usual 5-minute drive home turned into a 35-minute detour because we were so scared she might follow us. In our small town, we know almost everyone, but we'd never seen this woman before and never saw her again. We kept an eye on the news for stories about a bloody woman being found, but heard nothing. We couldn't think of any reason for her to be out there at 4 a.m. with blood on her clothes and a knife in her hand. Fast forward to now. I live with my wife on that peaceful road on the mountain ridge between the two roads where the scary events happened. I take the latter road almost every day, but I've never seen that strange woman again. However, this year a drug and cockfighting ring was busted near the road where we saw the creepy man. I don't know if it was the same house or if they were even there back then, but I wonder if the man was guarding the place. As for the woman, I hope I never see her again. If you survived this horror drive stories, be sure to check out more spine-chilling videos on this channel. But beware, if you don't, who knows what terrifying fate awaits you in the shadows.